All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the June 3rd general membership meeting of the Orlando Amateur Radio Club. It is about a minute after 7. We're getting started here. Got everybody on board. It's going to be the board members and our guest speaker for tonight. We're going to go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And with that, we'll switch to a different background real quick. So just make it look more real. Well, maybe we won't. It doesn't want to work tonight. What do you know? Okay, let's do this here for a second. Hold on. Don't you love when you have issues? All right. So we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, let me go down the list of who we have with us tonight. I think we have, going by the YouTube screen, of course, I'm up in the top left. Then we have Frank Tagliani, KD4EZW, Michael Cawley, our Vice President, W4MCA, Bob Cumming, W2BZY, Director, our ARRL Southeastern Vice Director, Jim Schilling, KG4JSZ, I think it is, JSE. James Duell, N0XIA, Director, Bob Nocero, W4KBW, our Secretary, Dean Grow, KD4, or KD4, I'm sorry, Dean, I'm messing up your call sign tonight. Dean Grow's on is on, and Tony Darnell, Director. Frank's on his iPhone at poolside. James Duell is also on. I'm sorry, Frank is on. I look at two different screens here and I'm seeing different setups. So we're going to get started. Real quick, I just want to sit there and talk real quick about our importance of having our email information updated with the membership committee. Last month when we sat there and sent out the electronic ballots to about 171, I think it was, members that had valid email addresses on file, only a few of people actually ended up voting. So I'm kind of wondering how many of those were not correct and how many we still need to get corrected. So if you have not updated an email address with the membership committee, I ask that you go online to oarc.org, go to the online application, and just submit a new application with all your information so we can make sure we have everything up to date. And then we will send you an email letting you know that we have that information now on file, it's updated, or if we're still missing something, we will let you know. But that's just kind of important because our election results, only 41 people out of 170 some ballots going out chose to vote in the election. Is kind of small and disappointing. I thought for sure we have a bigger turnout, especially since it was the first ever virtual election we've ever had. So I'd like to sit there and see that, make sure we have everybody's email address up to date and your information. So that way, 1, you're getting the newsletter, 2, you're getting any information from the board of directors. And then also you get these virtual meeting notifications. And if we do any type of ballots again by email, you'll make sure you have a ballot coming to you. So please take a few minutes and get that accomplished for us, and I greatly appreciate it. Give everybody an update real quick on the status of Beardall Senior Center. Switch to a different screen here, actually. So a lot of people might have heard today that here coming soon, we are going to phase 2 in the state of Florida. So what does that mean? Currently, the Beardall Center is still closed. As of Friday, March the 20th, 2020, the center has been closed until further notice. That has not changed as of yet. But, and if I can switch to a different screen here, as of today, Ron DeSantis, our governor, says starting Friday, we're going to go to phase 2 of opening in the state of Florida. What this does mean is all persons in Florida are encouraged to avoid congregating in groups larger than 50. Now, we don't know yet, one, if the senior center is going to reopen this Friday or anytime soon after. And we don't know what type of restrictions the cities are going to be putting on us and having a in-person meeting at this point in time. My only point in telling you this is to give you guys hopefully some hope that there is maybe some light at the end of the tunnel, that here maybe the next month or two we might be able to finally have a in-person meeting again. So let's keep our fingers crossed that will happen. I will also mention that the other thing is we have made preparations if there is if we're allowed to have a meeting again in person, but there are restrictions about having mask or hand sanitizer available at our meeting. We will have both. So that way everybody will get a mask when they enter the building, and they will also have plenty of hand sanitizer on hand if you need some with you or need some to use them. So just to give you guys a little hope, hopefully here soon, maybe this will slowly come to an end and we'll be able to meet again in person. And please, if you don't feel safe when we start meeting in person, please, do what you feel is comfortable to yourself. Don't come to the meeting if you don't feel safe doing so. But as soon as we know something, we'll get the word out to the membership. Another good reason why to have your email address up to date with us. Talking a little bit about Field Day real quick. Field Day as a group has been canceled by the club. Okay. I will go back a little further and mention that members of Lamar's Lake Monroe Amateur Radio Society and members of OARC had several different conference calls and possibly joining forces this year and having a joint field day. More than anything, we'll get some OARC members to go and assist Lamar's with their field day operations. We were working on this, and then all of a sudden Lamar's found out that their the park that they've always had field day at will not be available to them because of the COVID situation still. And then also Lamar's was not able to come up with a secondary location because of all the parks are being closed. I mean, to big groups like this at this point in time. And it's kind of hard to sit there and have a field day operation and try to do the 6-foot distancing requirements in a small park and stuff. So it didn't work out. So Lamar's ended up canceling theirs this year also. We are encouraging everybody, both clubs are encouraging everybody to participate in field day from home or however way you feel like you want to do that. So if you want to participate from home, or if you want to participate from a park of your own, maybe a small park, small operation, do what you feel is comfortable to you. And then please have a great time doing it. And you can also support the club a little bit if you want to. There's going to be a way, I think Mr. Schilling, Jim will sit there and go over a little bit about what the field day changes were made with ARRL and the rules this year to allow some individuals to be able to communicate with other groups and stuff around the country. So we'll go into that here in just a minute. But that's what's going on with field day. The reason why we were looking to do a joint venture with Lamar's was obviously our pavilion that we've used at the fairgrounds for the past many years was torn down right after Hamcation this year to build a new one, and the new one is not quite complete yet. And I think Michael may bring up something on that here when he talks about the Hamcation in just a second. So if you have any questions during this meeting, you can put them in the YouTube chat window, and we will get those questions to either Michael answer them personally, or he will let the director or officer know what the question is, so we can get them answered for you. You have to remember there's about a 20-second delay between us talking and you're actually viewing it on YouTube. So you have to give us a few seconds to get that message, and we'll get them answered for you. With that, let me go to Michael. Michael, do you want to do a Hamcation report or update?
I can. I put some information actually in the newsletter that should have went out a couple days ago, I believe, about Hamcation, some of the things that's going on. We are starting to get everything rolling again with Hamcation. We have added 2 new hotels to Hamcation for this year. They are Hilton brand hotels, and one of them is a Holiday Inn. And the other one is a Homes to Suite, I believe, is the other one. They're both located on iDrive by SeaWorld. They're both across the street from each other, and they have give pretty good rates for the area. So right now we'll have a total of 2, 4, 5, 6 hotels this year, I believe, when we're all done with it. Also, we have did a Zoom meeting with Bob Interbittens from ARL, and I forget the lady's name now. She's actually the marketing person now that took Bob's spot when he changed titles. About Hamcation 2021, the national convention, and some of the theme and logos we're going to be using. And you can look for a news release, a joint news release from Hamcation and ARRL sometime, I would probably say within the next 2 weeks, about Hamcation 2021. Also, everybody that has been keeping track, I've been talking about the pavilion being built, and I put a photo in the last newsletter. This is the current pavilion, the new one that is looks almost done by now. So the fairgrounds have been shut down, just like everything else. I do know they're fixing to do a virtual car drive-in concert out here coming up soon. So hopefully with the governor opening up stuff, the fairgrounds will get back open, and we can start doing a little more with them, and get out there and see this new pavilion and see how it's going to work for Hamcation. I think that's going to be it. So I stop sharing my screen here. I believe that's all I have, John.
Sounds good. Normally at some point here, we usually go around in the room and start asking questions of the different clubs and stuff, but it's kind of hard to do that on a virtual meeting right now. But stay tuned to, I'm sure that whatever clubs you belong to, on announcements on when they are going to be returning back to either having meetings or virtual meetings in the future. I will sit there and say that Orange County Aries real quick will be attempting also a virtual meeting up next Monday night. Not sure exactly how well it's going to work for an Aries meeting yet, but we're going to give it a shot. So, and we might even try to bring everybody in on Zoom instead of using just YouTube by itself. We're going to try it and see how it works and see what we can do. But stay tuned for more information on that. Real quick before we go around to or go to our special guest, let me go to the rest of the board to see if they have anything. BZY?
Other than there's going to be a great demand for testing when we finally get Beardall back. It's going to be a big backlog, and the extra question pool changes July 1st. So we won't have tests using the old questions. There'll be a new pool.
Okay. But if I remember correctly, the new pool of questions really contains a few additions, but a lot of deletions out of the old test, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So for those of you guys that might be listening to the virtual meeting or even tuning in after the fact, even though you might be studying the current question pool that expires at the end of this month, there's only a few additions, but there's quite a few things that are being deleted out of it for the extra class questions. So don't panic too much if you haven't had a chance to study the new question pools. Might not be a whole lot of change going on there. Mr. Nacero.
I don't have anything myself, but I do have a quick question from Michael. The area at the fairgrounds across from the new pavilion where the old pavilion was, unless you've said it before, do you know what's going to happen with that area?
At the time when last time I met with everybody down there, the original plan was they were going to put power in and make it into more like RV area.
Oh, good.
That was the last plan. I'm not 100% sure because since then the pavilion plans changed and I had not talked to them since then. So right now I would say I don't know.
Okay, I'm just curious.
As of
Okay,
right now.
cool, thanks. And I don't have anything for myself.
Okay. Sounds good. Dean and Anna.
Good evening, everybody. No, I'm good. I don't have anything.
Thanks. And Dean?
And nothing for me this month either.
Okay. Tony Darnell.
Yeah, nothing here, John. Thank you.
Okay. Frank Gerkitz.
Nothing from me.
All right. James Dool.
I really don't have anything, and nobody's asked any questions related to me, so I have nothing.
All right. Sounds good. And Mr. Tagalani, EZW.
I have nothing in particular. I just want to thank everybody who did vote and for reelecting incumbents on the board. And it's going to be a great year.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. All right. We're going to have our guest speaker talk now. James KG4JSZ is our vice director for the ARRL. Our director is actually on vacation this week, so he wasn't able to join us. My understanding is the internet connection wasn't that good at the up in the mountains where he's at, so he wasn't able to join us even on vacation. He was going to try. So, but Jim is here. He's going to step in and give us some updates and talk a little bit about what's going on at ARRL headquarters. And go ahead, Jim.
All right. Well, thanks for the invite and congratulations to all the club officers. You guys are a great group and you guys put on a great show. And I'm actually looking forward to next year. Yeah, Nikki's up in the mountains. Matter of fact, next month it looks like I'll be up there, so I'll get to test the internet next month. I'll cover with the first probably couple of big things, I guess. I put them in my newsletter this month. For those of you not aware, the board, they've announced it now that if you are over 75 and you've had a combined years of membership of 25 years, you can get a reduced cost life membership. I'll give you my personal opinion. Unless you are really longevity in life, I wouldn't sign up for it. It was designed to be revenue neutral by design. They use actuarial tables and all this other stuff. So unless you're afraid you're going to miss paying your dues, I would not consider signing up for it, but it's there if you're interested. The other big announcement was the field day changes. The Programs and Services Committee had finally saw the wisdom to put a couple of waivers in this year. One of them will allow Class D stations to operate and count for credit with other stations, and Class D stations can work other Class D stations. Class D is the ones that let you operate from home using main electric, no generator, none of that stuff. So that was one thing. The other thing that got changed is that very similar to some other contests where people work from their home, but they submit their points to their club and it's an aggregate score, they allow that this year. So clubs that can't meet in person, that want to operate field day, a lot of them have been looking at remote operations and stuff. There's a lot of cost associated with that. So they added that rule temporary for this year. These rules are temporary just for this year, unless we have a repeat next year of this, and I guess I'll revisit it. So you can operate, like if you float a contest group, people operate contests, are familiar with how that operates. So that's something new. Other things in the news, CEO search is continuing. They've got some candidates lined up that they're finalizing a list for interviews that will come later. And I'll talk to you about that a little bit further down. The same thing goes for the emergency directors committee. I got signed to that, I guess about maybe 2 months ago, month and a half ago. They had some personnel changes I got put in there. I'm aware of one interview that's one person that still remains to be interviewed, and somehow I'm on that group. All the members that were on that got to interview 3 people, and I was on the 2 teams that finished it the first day, and somehow I'm on the team that's batting up last too. Luck of the draw, I thought it'd be done. Those will be voted on and presented to the board at a later date, and I'll cover that. Well, actually, I guess I can go to it now. So the ARL typically has 2 board meetings, January and July. They're not having the July one in person because they can't get the hotel space and everything else due to the virus. So the plan is at the moment to have a very simple, what do we have to vote on right away type meeting, basically using Zoom or WebEx, but I think it's Zoom. So they'll have that meeting. It'll be just like this meeting we're having here. Votes will be taken, and it'll be probably very abbreviated to cover those things that are required to be covered immediately. The interviews and such will be done at a later date, a month to a month out, a month and a half out, month and a half out to 2 months out. Oh, the other thing too is that the resumes and cover letters for the candidates did get released just here in the last couple of days to all the board members who were not on the committee. So, a matter of fact, before this meeting, I was actually starting to search through some of those. Barry Shelley's looking for a location to figure out where the board can meet. Look in August, September timeframe. One thing that's up for consideration, one of the board members, and it wasn't anybody from this division, so has suggested Huntsville as a possibility. ARL was supposed to have a larger presence there. They've extended an invitation to them since Dayton did not happen. So there's expecting that there'd be a lot of people there and could be coordinated with that. So there is a possibility that the interviews and such would happen during that same week before the actual Hamfest. So there's other things being looked at. Headquarters is trying to figure it out. I'm hoping for that one. I won't have to fly, maybe I could drive. Other things, headquarters is starting to open up. They're already looking to move some people up back to headquarters. Just like down here, they're relaxing things a little bit, and they're looking to start transitioning people from home back into headquarters. They've had some people that have gone in from time to time to handle the required stuff, but now they're starting to look at possible transition plans. I kind of think that is it for the highlights. So I guess wait 20 seconds to see if somebody pops out a question. I won't sing.
I did have one that somebody mentioned when you first started talking about field day. How would it work? Does the club have to submit the stuff for the person, or will the individuals just submit it and then there'll be a spot to add the club to it?
It is my understanding there is somewhere within the log file you submit where you designate the club. I've never done it. If you go to the Arrow website, they've got a posting of the rules. If you go to the KG4JSZ Facebook page, there's a link there. I don't know about it. I did forget one thing also about field day. Monday, I was with the Tampa Club. They invited me and I had a question. They are looking to, they'd already planned to operate remote. They'd have somebody at their clubhouse, but most of the operators would be remoting in. And I got asked if I was willing to, well, one, if I operated remotely, did that count as an ARL official showing up so they could claim the 100 points? I said, I'm not too sure about that, but the rules do say if I physically show up and if your remote station is at your clubhouse, I'll drive over for the 100 points for you if that's what you want. Since then, Fort Myers has told me they're actually having theirs. So I've agreed to show up there. I will consider other clubs. Obviously, it sounds like Orlando's not doing it. I will consider other clubs that are within driving range to reach out to me, let me know. If they really want that 100 points, I will, I'll make the drive as long, you know, they can come up with a plan or something once I finalize the list. So if you know somebody else, let's say 100 miles within Orlando or so, 150, I don't know, maybe 200. I don't know. I haven't decided. Depends on how many clubs hit me up. But I'll, if I get too many, I'll just have to pull them from a hat. But I will try to show up to anybody that's actually physically having it. I don't see any other questions showing up here, so maybe I got off easy.
Anything else, Michael?
That's the only thing I saw in here other than I guess Rich Wilson has a whole bunch of information on field day. I guess they're having their meeting tomorrow night, I believe he said. And they were going to go over field day also and all the scoring and everything. Yeah, tomorrow night. So is what he said in the chat.
Does he want to join us?
Let me find out from him.
Sorry, we weren't quite prepared for that one on our end. Recent change and some other things were going on locally. Personally, didn't get a chance to get all updated on that.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed how long it took them to come to this decision. I'll also say I was probably a little disappointed because one of their original reasons for being steadfast and not changing the rule was because of clubs investing money and time trying to figure out how to operate within the rules. But yet when they changed the rules, I would have thought maybe they might have gave them some kind of bonus for the effort, like if you operated remotely or something. So I've heard some things of why they initially shot it down, but I think membership and other directors, you know, I know for a fact they didn't consider Class D because Mickey's on that committee. I talked to Mickey about it and it never came up. And I said they could at least do that. And he's like, well, they never thought of that. So I'm not gonna say it, you know, somebody else may have suggested it too, but I did send Mickey back in there with that info. You could at least open it up to Class D since people are operating from home.
Well, I have to sit there and say, you know, even like with the Orlando Amateur Radio Club, we've been around for 70 plus years. And first time ever, any one of us can even remember or know about that we've done any type of virtual meetings or virtual board meetings or anything. So it's kind of a new venture for us. So I can only imagine, because of the COVID-19 situation and things not quite opening up as fast as I think AWRL was hoping, and all of us were hoping, to have field day operations as normal. Trying to come up with new changes that was just probably, I'm going to say the words, unheard of before. It takes a little time to come up with those things. So
No, and what a lot of people don't realize is they've gotten the word out. So anybody that's using any kind of logging software, they're going to have to push out updates. The ARL themselves, with the software that handles the reported logs, are going to have to write updates. So there is some work doing. So it isn't changing the rules, isn't anything light to do. I mean, it's definitely a lot more work, but I think it was an important thing. I mean, to include more people and allow participation. I was kind of disappointed with the first announcement when they said they weren't going to change the rules. It really kind of bothered me enough that I figured, all right, well, I'm just going to sit it out. I'll do something else that weekend. So I'm kind of glad that they've changed the rules, and there are some clubs that are comfortable enough. They feel it's okay to go ahead and operate, and come together. And I'll show up for that.
correct. Rich Wilson has joined us. He has some information on field day and the scoring. Rich, you want to chime in? And your microphone's muted.
All righty. Hey, thank you very much. Yeah, as it happens, well, I was the field day chairman last year and 2 or 3 years before that for Lamar's. So the field day chairman is the one that puts in the scores at the very end. And it's a very unusual way of scoring. If you are a contester, you would not believe how the scores are compiled for Lamar's. I mean, for a field day. So I'm going to do a briefing tomorrow night, but I'll just kind of run through it here, and I'll show you how the scores are done. But the end product is, and by the way, we've talked to ARRL on this and looked at the rule changes. So each person who operates in field day must submit their own individual score. And that's the long and short of it. And it's pretty easy to do that. There's a couple of deals that kind of go along with that you need to know before you go in if you want your score to count. So let me try to share. I have a screen here that I'm going to see if this works. Okay. That's the bird. Oh, darn it. This is my first try with sharing a screen. And I was hoping to share the form that the ARRL has. Anyway, when you do your field day effort, you're going to have to keep a log. But you won't be sending that particular log to the ARRL. You would think that you would just send a Cabrillo log up there like other contesters are used to doing, but that's not how it works. Because there are so many additional things that you can get from the ARRL for a field day, like Mickey can come to your field day site and you can get 100 points, and you can have a visit from a local representative, and you can run on solar power, and on and on. So what you do is you go on the ARRL, it's called field-day.org, I believe, and I'll get the correct website to everybody on that. So after you do your field day, you're going to go to that website. It's on the ARRL field day website, and you're going to type in the answers to a bunch of questions, and then you're going to type in how many contacts you made into a grid, and that's pretty much it. So and then when you sign on, when you start your field day scoring, you're going to type in your call sign, of course. I'll put WR4RW at the top of mine, and I think I put my name as well. But then it says, what club are you representing? And that's where the answer to how the club gets their score comes from. So people here who want to get their scores into OARC are just going to type in Orlando Amateur Radio Club into what club are you representing? And then you're going to go on, and you're going to answer all those questions about extra points. Then you're going to type your scores into a grid. And then the only thing that you have to submit is a PDF of your dupe sheet. You can also submit a Cabrillo. So it sounds involved, and it is kind of goofy, but it's because of all those extra point situations. So you're going to type your, how many contacts per band and mode in this grid. You're going to submit a PDF. That's the only thing you have to submit, a PDF or a Cabrillo log as a dupe sheet. And that's it. And you send it in, and you click on, send it in, and that's pretty much it. So then what will happen is all these scores will go in, and then ARRL will put them all together. And so OARC will have a listing in QST, which will be the sum of all of our individual scores. And that's it. Your individual scores will also be published as well. In our club, and I'm sure in many clubs, we have a lot of people who say, oh, good Lord, I don't want to do all that. And that's okay. You can still participate in field day though. You don't have to score it. But if you want to have your score go in, then you have to do it individually. So that's the briefing. You can actually go on the ARRL Field Day website now, and you can go down to the bottom of the rules, and it gives you where to go to put your rules, to put your score in. And you can go on that right now, and you can see what questions you have to answer and how to fill out that little form. So I encourage everybody to do that, because you need to know what you're going to need to have. And the deal is the dupe sheet mainly. So you can, if you have a logger, you can use your logger. That's perfectly fine. In fact, that's awesome, because it'll print a dupe sheet. If you don't have a logger, you can do a pencil and paper ARRL old style log, and then you'll have to compile it and maybe do a little spreadsheet at home, because it wants contacts by band and mode. That's it though. So that's how it's going to be done this year. And even though I'm kind of helping the Lamar's folks out, I'm more than willing to help anybody here with questions on how to score.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate that very much. Michael, have you got any questions in there?
Nothing for Rich. I just posted the link in the chat also for the field day site where you actually do what he was talking about. So the link is in there.
Okay. Do you have another question?
I actually had one for Jim. Someone was asking about what was ARRL doing for testing now with the COVID. Are they working on anything to be able to do testing during this time, more remote stuff or stuff like that?
They have been working on remote stuff. I had gotten contacted early last month. Those of you who might have met my daughter was hitting around and wanting to get her license and stuff, and her cousin as well. Wanting to know if she wanted to be part of a pilot program that they were working with the ARRL to do some remote testing. They have done some remote testing. It's gone successful. They're compiling, I guess, the procedures and how they want to handle that. Again, it's been a little hard to work with everybody not being in the office kind of thing, to team up to work on it together, but that should be coming out. It's going to be horrible to say, but it might be September-ish, I think, is the last I heard. But I think remote testing, they'll at least have these procedures and how it's going to happen and be done. At least it's guidelines. If you read the rules, there's always an option for remote testing, but they're finally getting into it where they're writing the rule, I don't want to say rules, but the guidelines for how to have those sessions. They've done them, they've been successful. They're building their lessons learned and documenting that and coming up with the best approach to do that. So they recognize they probably should have got on this a little sooner, because it's something that's come up a few times in the past, but there was never a great need until this came around. So
Yeah, I know that we've had a lot of people requesting to take the test, but with our facility that we hold is out of commission at the moment, and because of the restrictions, we haven't been able to have one. So, like Bob said earlier, we're going to have a backlog of people that want to have testing. So, anticipate that soon. Michael?
Nothing else in the chat right now. So,
Okay. All right. Before we end this meeting for tonight, I just want to give everybody an opportunity to ask any questions in the YouTube chat so we can get those questions answered for you. So real quick, before we go back to Michael and see if there's any questions, if we do have a face-to-face meeting, it could be as early as Wednesday, July the 1st. And at the Beardall Senior Center, if it's reopened and if we're able to have a face-to-face meeting with the amount of attendees. If not, our next meeting will be virtual still on Wednesday, July the 1st at 7 o'clock. If it's a face-to-face meeting, we'll go back to our normal starting time at 7:30 with obviously the test session ahead of time at 5:30. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people at that test session. So it might be a busy night. So might have to cap it off there too, Bob, if we do have a actual test session again. So anything else, Michael?
Nothing in the chat. I'm just trying to put the link in there. People says they can't see it. I'm not understanding why they can't see the link I'm posting.
I don't see it either.
If not, we can email it out to everybody.
Yeah, we'll email it out to everybody. Make it easier with it on there. So make sure everybody gets it. I don't see nothing else in the chat, but I did have one thing I forgot to include on my Hamcation report. I will be on HRO's Shack Chat with Katie Allen coming up June 19th at 1:30. We're really not going to be talking about my shack because I live in an apartment, so I don't have one. But it's actually going to be a special edition for Hamcation, and talking to myself about Hamcation and John about Field Day and what OARC has done in the years past and how it's affected us this year for that part. So if you want to see us on her show, Shack Chat with Katie Allen, it's June 19th, 1:30 p.m. And I believe it's on Facebook Live. And I think it goes on YouTube also, but I don't know if it's live on YouTube or not.
I think it does. I think it is live.
Okay. But if you just search Ham Radio Outlet on Facebook, you'll find it there. And you can search Ham Radio Outlet on YouTube, and you can find it there also to subscribe to that part. But we will be on that coming up. So that'll be a couple weeks. Hopefully by then we'll have a little more information from ARL and maybe put some new stuff out then about Hamcation.
Okay. Appreciate it very much. As we sit there and close out this meeting, I want to make sure that nothing else in the chat room. Just trying to give everybody an opportunity to type and put questions in. Everybody that's on Zoom, if you'll stay on Zoom as we close out the meeting, I appreciate it. Not seeing anything. See Lou McFadden says, glad you're doing this, which glad we're doing it also, Lou. Welcome to see you. Glad to see you in there, Lou. All right. Let me go ahead and close out the YouTube portion. It was great to be able to be here again tonight with everybody. You want to mention what Ken just mentioned, Michael?
Yeah, I can do that. Ken Lyons just put out, Scouts will be gearing up for October JOTA every weekend in October. And I do know he'll be needing help for that. So if anybody's interested, you can contact Ken Lyons about that. And I'm pretty sure he can use as many hams as he can get.
And one last plug I just want to put in there. Just keep in mind, if you guys are in need of any amateur radio equipment, supplies, coax, connectors, radios, anything. Don't forget about our vendors that come to Hamcation and to all the different other Hamfest because of all the cancellations this year. Some of the vendors could really use your business. So just don't forget about our smaller mom and pop type businesses out there, not just even the big ones. But just please give them some business and stuff, keep them going. And hopefully we'll all be out of this here soon and getting things somewhat back to maybe a new normal and stuff. So, but in the meantime, stay safe, stay tuned to your radios, get on the air. Don't forget about our Traders Net on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock on the 7-6 machine. And I haven't been able to tune in myself the past couple of weeks. Got a lot of things going on, but hopefully I get back on there in the future. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody real soon. And as we sit there and sign off of YouTube, say goodbye, everybody, and have a good night. So.